All right, welcome to another edition of the inside or of the of the Franklin Community High School Career Exploration Project. We have with us Emma Clor, and she is the supervisor of life cycle management at B2S Life Science in Franklin. Emma, thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
I I did over the summer. I did an Inside Franklin Athletics podcast, and so I think I got the two of them confused this morning. So that's why
Oh,
I
yeah.
started with Inside. So Emma, why don't you just tell us a little bit about your role and kind of how you got there? Anything you may have had beforehand that helped you out in getting there.
Sure. So currently what I do is I help B2S Life Sciences by managing custom reagents that we've generated, not only for our own company, so internal products and things that we've generated, but also a bunch of materials that other clients send to us that they want us to manage the life cycle of. So I'm sure you guys have heard with like coronavirus, they're like, oh, we have the vaccines, but they're expiring and we can't use them after expired. So actually what my role is I help manage the life cycle of reagents or different materials. So what we would do is we would do testing to ensure that the reagents are stable, which would allow to extend the expiration date, or in order to say, hey, this reagent is actually only good for this specific amount of time.
Okay. So are you working with any with the vaccines right now, or is that something that hasn't gotten to
Uh,
you yet?
Not currently. We did work initially with some of the materials in order to be able to develop an antibody test. So we could tell different patients whether or not they had had the coronavirus, specifically the SARS-CoV-2 or MERS or the original SARS. So we did develop an antibody assay for that, but we did not end up, we don't do clinical trial samples or anything here. So that was where we ended with that.
I gotcha. So, and then previously you were also in the lab. So what was your role there?
Sure. So originally, when I was hired at B2S Life Sciences, I came in as a scientist for our product development. So I began by helping to generate our products and then do the initial characterization. So I did that for a couple of years, and then I was a scientist too. So that's where I kind of transitioned to the stability of it. And eventually, they're like, "Oh, you're doing a great job. We'll promote you to supervise this instead of actually completing like the bench work at the lab."
Do you miss that?
Yes. I was to say the hours are definitely better as a supervisor. It's not like because when you're working in the lab, like if the experiment is still ongoing, you're still there till it's over. But now at more at the desk role, it's more like, oh, okay, well, the work will still be here
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Yeah, it's not going anywhere, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So talk what's your educational background?
Sure. So I have a bachelor's degree from DePaul University in Greencastle, Indiana. So not the male basketball powerhouse in Illinois. The women's team there is actually very great at basketball. So
Okay.
it's still great at basketball. But I have a bachelor's degree there in biology,
Okay.
and that is actually the highest education I've currently received. So a lot of the people I work with do have master's degrees or PhDs.
Got that. So is that something you're thinking about going to do?
Yes. Eventually, I think I would like to go back to maybe get a PhD, probably in something immunologically related, or I guess it depends on what happens because I'm definitely interested in a lot of different things. So at some point, I might just decide, yeah, okay, science has been fun. Let's figure out something new.
I
So
got you.
we'll see.
Yeah, well, and you can pretty much, probably go wherever you want because you've got that prestigious degree from DePaul, as opposed to maybe if you went somewhere else like Wabash, you'd just be
Oh
railroaded
yeah.
and you couldn't really do anything else. You're just stuck if you go to Wabash. So,
Oh, I was just saying, I'd like to trash talk them, but Wabash College is an excellent institution, and their alumni network is incredible.
I don't know.
So,
Some of their alums, or I've had a couple of their alums on here. One of them, and then I know a couple of them. I don't know. Sometimes they may be a little sketchy. So, what kind of led you into just this role, into chemistry, into labs, into experiments, and what kind of led you into that?
I think just general curiosity. I really enjoy learning, and this was one of the professions that it sounded like you get to continue to learn and grow and keep developing your knowledge base, and in fact, continue to help expand the knowledge base globally.
Okay, yeah. Now you've switched kind of roles. So what are in general? So you get more of a feel now as supervisor and as scientist. And is it like actual? Was it biochemist? Was what you would technically have been considered?
So yeah, we do biochemistry here, correct? Yeah.
Yeah, biochemist. You're like you're so humble. I love it. You're just like if I was a biochemist, I'd be like, yeah, I am a biochemist. That's I would
Sure, sure.
just like, yeah, I'm a scientist. We do some experiments. You're super.
Yeah,
It's
I was gonna say I don't want to intimidate anyone. Like absolutely. We in fact, and I think it's part of being a part of a small company rather than a large corporation. Like there, they might have more strict requirements, but here, we even have people that worked in the lab that started and did not have a bachelor's degree. So I think that's part of the hey, like with the larger institutions, that doesn't happen as much. But when you have smaller companies, it's one of the places where it's like, hey, like you're willing to work hard and you're able to learn, like, sure, we'll let you do science with us.
yeah, yeah, and that's a. I mean, I think that's something that people need to understand. Kids need to understand is that you don't necessarily have to have a college degree to get to a lot of to get into a lot of things. I mean, it's yes, I spoke with someone who she didn't attend college and she's basically worked her way up in a business and basically has like the equivalent of an MBA just off the business experience. But she just kind of started, wasn't afraid to do the little grunt work and would constantly move her way up. And is that what you see as well?
Yes, no, definitely. I was gonna say our chief scientific officer here, like started out as a janitor and he worked his way. Now he has his own company. Like it's. I was gonna say I'm not gonna try to act like oh the American dream is 100% possible and if you work really hard, like
Right.
everything's possible. Because I know that that sometimes it's true, but sometimes it's not. But yeah, no, absolutely. I think that there is some potential for that to work out.
Yeah. So in your job, obviously it's something you're very passionate about. You love science. You love just getting in the lab. You love all that stuff. So, what are some of the other pros that you see, and then some cons? You have to give me at least one con, and I won't tell
Oh,
you.
no, sure. No, that's totally fine. So what I really like is, at least here in all the places that I've experienced, um, it's very fast paced and there's a lot of stuff going on, which I really enjoy because I know that sometimes other careers of the past, like they get monotonous, you're doing the same thing repeatedly, that like that kind of thing gets boring and it's sometimes hard to continue to do that for a long time. So here it's pretty exciting because there's always something going on. There's always a bunch of different clients. You're always working on multiple projects at the same time. So it gets to be pretty involved and I like that there's a level of independence here. So like you have the task or whatever, and you own that task, like you're working and you're completing that stuff. So that's really nice rather than, all right, well, I have minimal expectations for you. Here's your checklist, do these things. Like that's not something that I personally enjoy. So that's what I would consider a pro working here. In the industry or whatever, at larger corporations, it sometimes is more regulated and you have those kinds of items. So you have to exactly follow the protocol. The SOPs are very strict, like change is not possible almost. It is like it just takes a lot
Yeah.
longer to get there. So I guess like industry versus small company, there's some things that are different there. And then for cons, I think that a lot of people here struggle with a work-life balance. So, like having the hey, like it's the end of the day, we're done. Like, people are sending emails at 3 in the morning here. People really care about their job, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing at all. But sometimes there's a struggle to kind of separate those things and be like, okay, like I'm off the clock. I don't have to check my email. I don't have to do these things. Like they'll still exist during the daytime. Like
Yeah.
those are some of the things. And the other thing is in industry in general, the areas are very specific, and a lot of the people like know everyone in the field. So, like, I'm not saying that like if you mess up, like everyone knows about it, but they could. There's a potential that oh, I heard from so and so, like that kind of stuff. And the other thing that does is, I think there's a bit of like a old school mentality that exists because of how the field was traditionally a male dominated field. So sometimes it is a little bit harder for women and younger people to break into the field.
So you're not saying it doesn't happen, or it does
Yeah,
happen, but you're not
I'm
not.
not saying
Yeah,
yes.
I gotcha. I gotcha.
So.
So as far as the job goes, obviously it's something that's a passion of yours. You just love the science part of it, and being just being more there, working with all your coworkers and getting in the lab. So what type of personality and characteristics do you think make you successful in that? And what type of personality or characteristic do you think maybe someone would struggle with?
Sure. So I think attention to detail is the biggest thing. No matter what you're doing, being able to be like, okay, I'm sure I'm exactly measuring this or doing the exact things that I've laid out to do every time, no matter how many times you've done the protocol. It's very important that, hey, you're using the right chemicals, you're using the right reagents, you're not adding incorrect amounts. Like just that attention to detail and noticing like, hey, this isn't going exactly right. Like, let me pause, let me make sure that I've got everything laid out. Like, attention to detail is huge, more important than almost anything else, I would say. And yeah, I think having like a natural curiosity or like I'm curious about why this didn't work has really helped with career advancement, because it's like, okay, yeah, like I'm doing the things that I'm expected to be doing, but I'm always wanting to learn more about what's going on or see what else or how it connects to something else. So I think that's pretty important. And then, yeah, just being able to follow the safety procedures that are in place and know like, hey, this is what's next, or this is what's coming up. So like following the protocols, like those things are all really important. And also strong ability to communicate. So just because you see something off, like you have to, well, so being able to explain what's wrong or why it's different or what's going on is really important. So here, because it's a small company, we also interface with our clients a lot. So like having that ability to say, this is what's going on in a professional manner and being able to present to different levels and audiences is really important.
Yeah. Um, how did you prepare for this career, and how would you suggest someone prepare for it?
Um, so I don't know how much I really prepared for this career, to be honest. I was never really sure what I wanted to do throughout high school. So, I mean, I did take a lot of the AP classes, and traditionally, a lot of them are in the sciences. So that was kind of an indicator. But like when you're declaring your major in college and things like that, like you have to know by sophomore year. So I waited up until the last deadline to like, oh yeah, I think I'll be a science major. Like this will be fine. So not that I accidentally ended up here, but it feels like it sometimes. Like I didn't quite have a plan, and I still feel like I don't have a plan. But just I kept taking all the classes and just continued to learn and branch out. Like I also have a minor in psychology, so I definitely explored that, and I have a minor in Spanish, so I explored different languages. I was taking English classes. I just took a lot of classes and
Yeah.
really like did well at them to try to be able to be like, okay, whatever happens, like I've got. And I went to a liberal arts school, which really helps you be able to branch out and have a basis in some other things. So I didn't know what I was going to do. I just knew I was going to be successful at it.
There you go. It just you prepare, you just have like confidence in yourself too, it seems like. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to get you out of here on this one. Just I need some general advice for high school students. Just overall, it doesn't have to even be career oriented, just overall advice.
I think you should try a lot of things, because for me, it's like, okay, so I tried working at a hog farm. Like I tried working in different places, just seeing not only what you like, but what you don't like. Because I think sometimes that's hard to be like, oh, I'm not really sure if I like this. Maybe I won't do it. Or, oh, that's not something I've traditionally looked at, they're interested in. And I think that I wish I had tried more things to be like, oh, I'm more confident, like this is what I want to be doing, or this is absolutely not what I want to be doing, and I know that I don't want to be doing that.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Just the more things you see, the more experiences you get, the more you can mold yourself and do, hey, this is what I want to do and everything. So
yeah, and a lot of things are very connected, and having the breadth of the knowledge to be like, oh, this relates to this relates to this, like things are not categorized in their own little area. Like just having a broad background is I think very beneficial in a lot of careers. Oh, and the other thing, computer sciences. Technology and ability to interface with technology is so important in all the jobs that are there. So like absolutely don't miss out on that stuff.
yeah, definitely. That's coming on strong. We've got so much technology that has been that's been integrated now, and just having that knowledge is going to be so key for the future. So once again, Emma Clor, thank you so much for joining us here this morning. She is once again the supervisor of life cycle management at B2S Life Science in Franklin, Indiana. Emma, thank you so much.
Thank you.